Gary Lineker, Piers Morgan. Let's get into this because obviously, look, bro, all my life, yeah, like nearly all my life since I can remember, Match of the Day has been hosted by Gary Lineker. The BBC has. Let me ask you the question. You let me know in the comments. Has the BBC pushed Gary Lineker out and made him resign? Like that was the only ultimatum that he had. Is you have to resign because your views of what you're saying, that's true. We can't have this. We can't have this. There's a bigger agenda. There's a bigger agenda. We can't have this. You have to resign here. Or do you think he's just resigned on the back of like him saying his views and whatnot? I want to get into this. I want to play a few things. I want to show you what Gary Lineker has been saying, what he's been putting up on his story, and what a legend he is. What a legend he is. You get me? And obviously, I'll look for his last Match of the Day video. Actually, I do have it somewhere. And let's get into Piers Morgan. You got to remember, guys, no matter what you say about Piers Morgan, yeah, he has crazy strong views. And at the start, you could say that he was anti-Palestine. At the start, you can say that. He was going to town. But now, he's seeing what's actually happening. He's saying, Rob, you lot are actually going too far. Hold on, furthermore, the UK government has put out a warning. I think it was UK, Canada, and France. Just correct me if I'm wrong. The UK government has put out a warning to Israel and saying, what you're doing is madness. Like we can see what you're doing here. What you're saying, what you're doing is madness. We can see it. Like, stop what you're doing. Like, imagine that. Like, a man's put out a warning saying, what you're doing is madness. Stop what you are doing. Now, I'm going to get into this. Let me flip my screen. Let me get into this. Okay, look. Even with this one. Gary Lineker's Insta account sharing an anti-Israel video, misrepresenting Zionism completely with a rat emoji. Zionism explains in less than 2 minutes. They take the land claim that is theirs. Why does this still have to be explained? So he's sharing this, big Gary Lineker, and the BBC. They're representing the BBC. Should he be saying this? Should he be doing this? He's been speaking on this. You get me? Let's go onto one of the videos that he was saying here, and let's take it in.
I can't think of anything that I've seen worse in my lifetime. The constant images of children losing their lives day in, day out. Now, obviously, we all know what October 7th happened, and the Hamas thing. But the minute you raise your voice against what they're now doing there, you get accused of being a supporter of Hamas or all this kind of stuff. So there is, there's a lot of heavy lobbying on people to be quiet. So I understand why.
What he's saying is, you talk about injustice, and then all of a sudden, like, you're talking about injustice of humanity, like human people, like people, kids dying, kids getting unalived. Forget about actually religion or this or that. You're seeing the injustice. And you're saying, yo, bro, yeah, you're just pro Hamas. You're pro. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Bro,
most people,
this guy's a legend.
But I'm getting on a bit now. I'm fairly secure. And I can't be silent about what's happening there. I think it's just.
He's basically saying, I'm fairly secure, bruv. I'm well off. I've got dough. I'm done, man. I've been at the BBC. I can't keep on being silent on what's going on. Like, I've had enough. Like, I'm gonna say my bit and step away. He's basically saying.
It's so utterly awful. And now they're talking about, it already looks like it's happening, going into Rafah, where they've sent everybody down there. So, I don't think you can be, it's not anti-Semitic to say that what Israel is doing is wrong. And I just can't see how everybody doesn't see it that way now. For whatever the cause, whatever started it, and we all know that the history of this area of the world goes way before October the 7th. But it's truly dreadful what's happening, and I cry on a regular basis when I see certain images on social media. I can't think of anything.
Bro, this is a man that's actually opening up. And he's saying, look, bro, like, nah, I can't be in the position that I'm in, just like everyone else, and just keep a blind eye because of the paycheck. Can't do it. I can't do this. I can't do it. You get me? And big respect to him. But it's going to a few more. It's going to some more bits. You get me? Obviously, he's been seeing that. Let's go into more bits. It says David Beckham react to Gary Lineker quitting. Okay, cool. Let's go into more bits. Let's go into this one. It's got the most views. Let's go into this.
I know where I stand on this. I'm sorry. It's more important than what the BBC, what's going on there is, the mass murder of thousands of children is probably something that we should have a little opinion on.
But the BBC as a whole needs to be impartial about it.
Why? It needs to be factual.
It needs...
Whoo! Come on, bro. It needs to be factual, bro. It needs to be factual. See, I use my YouTube, my social media. I speak on things. I spoke on something about Tony Robertson. Social media, they didn't like. You didn't like. It is what it is, bro. You get me? It is what it is, man. You get me? Whatever my views are is my views. But I am not racist. I am a normal person. Gary Lineker saying this, the amount of Israelis and amount of people that are just gonna attack him for it. Remember, you're going against the grain here. You get me? Like, you get me? You're going against the grain. There's a lot of people that rule the world. You get me? So it's like you're going against the grain. Now you're gonna step away, but you have to. You stay true to it. You get me? Stay true. Let's get into this.
It needs to be impartial about a conflict, doesn't it? And it's hard.
Does it have to be? It wasn't impartial about Ukraine and Russia.
And you might say that the...
Why does it have to be impartial about... I understand if it's partial about our government.
Man said it wasn't impartial about Ukraine and Russia. That means like the UK, you jumped onto Ukraine's bandwagon and you started, boom, using man's money to fund what you need to fund because obviously there's an agenda there. You get me? Like there's an agenda there, you get me? But now my man's saying, oh, you're not impartial about this. Come on, man.
And things in this country and everything like that. But something that's going on that far away, why does it?
Because the Israeli position is that what is happening in Gaza, and by the way, I'm not here as an advocate of the Israeli government, but the Israeli position is that what is happening in Gaza is a response to the slaughter and capture of innocent Israelis on October the 7th. And
which was awful, which was truly awful.
And
but
that full context needs to be there when discussing what's going on.
But that's not the full context, is it? Because the full context starts way before October the 7th, doesn't it?
It sounds like you think the BBC is in a complete mess on impartiality.
No, I don't think the BBC is in a mess. I think the BBC it's very difficult for the BBC. I think the BBC generally does
he's smart with it. He's smart, and this is how you deal with them, man. This is how you deal with them. You get me? You don't. This is how you deal with them.
Really good job of it, but it's not always easy. I think facts are the most important thing that they, it's like that old thing, isn't it? If it's raining outside, you don't need someone's opinion to say it's not raining. What you want to see is actually what is the weather outside. So I understand why it's so difficult for the BBC, and it really is. And I feel for the people at the top because, the amount of lobbying that will be going on and from people with, that aren't very impartial must be immense.
Knowing what you know now, which is that the narrator of that documentary...
As a child, yeah.
...is a child whose father is a Hamas official. And that wasn't disclosed to the public, which amounts to a serious flaw in the view of the BBC. Would you still sign that letter?
Yes.
Straight.
13-year-old child narrating, it's not been written by It's been written by the people who produced the show.
But the BBC failed to do sufficient due diligence.
I don't believe they. I think they just capitulated to
audiences
lobbying that they get a lot of lobbying.
And audiences didn't know something quite fundamental about the child, which is that he was the son of a Hamas official. Isn't that a problem?
I don't think so, no.
And so you would put the programme back on iPlayer now?
100%. I think you let people make their own minds up. We're adults. We're allowed to see things like that. I mean,
Hey, Gary Lineker is a legend, man. He's a legend, bruv. We've lost a legend, blood. Like match of the day, you know. Walker's Crisp. Bro, my man would do advert after advert about Walker's Crisp. This is man's childhood. Like, this is a legend, bro. It's madness.
Goodbye, Gary. I thought I'd call this one Goodbye, Gary. Our dear friend Gary Lineker will no longer be on the BBC. It's the final countdown for Mouth of the Day. Gary Lineker makes his exit from the BBC, so I thought it only fitting to give him a decent send-off. Frankly, if it were me making the decisions, he wouldn't get to do his last show today. But that aside, I thought I'd put together his top 3 indiscretions. At number 3, when Gary appeared to claim in a high-performance podcast that because of his darker skin, he'd experienced racism. Now, I ignored Gary because that is usually the best thing to do, but I'm afraid I couldn't let this one go. In his latest gaffe, he claims because of his darker skin, he's experienced racism. I almost choked on my drink. I bet he wished I had, because I wouldn't be around to point out how ludicrous that sounds. I'm black, Gary. You're white. See, now, I really wanted to make that number 1, but at number 2, Gary Lineker decided to criticise Government Minister Suella Braverman for her language, which he complained was akin to language used in the 1930s in Germany. So basically, Nazi Germany. He tweeted, "There is no huge influx. We take far fewer refugees than other major European countries. This is just an immeasurably cruel policy directed at the most vulnerable people in language that is not dissimilar to that used by Germany in the 30s. And I'm out of order?" Suella Braverman was not impressed.
Well, I think it is, from a personal point of view, to hear that kind of characterisation is offensive.
I can't even lie. When she said goodbye, Gary, yeah, bro, she actually just looked mad happy, bro. This is not a happy thing, bro. Like, she actually looked happy. What's your views on this, my people? What's your views? What's your views on this? Please let me know. Let's get into obviously his last show, Match of the Day. What did he post? When did he post this? Was this Dubai one 5 days ago? This was it, innit?
Alan, Micah, thank you. I suspect our paths will cross again very shortly. Let me take this opportunity to thank all of the other pundits that I've had the pleasure of working with over the last 25 years. You've made my job so much easier. Also, a huge thank you to those you don't see at home. The work that goes into making this iconic show is a huge team effort, from the editors to the analysis team, from the commentators to the floor managers, from the producers to the camera operators, from the PAs to the subs. Thank you all. You're the very best. Rather like my football career, everyone else did all the hard work and I got the plaudits. It's been an absolute privilege to have hosted Match of the Day for a quarter of a century. It's been utterly joyous. I'd like to wish Gabby, Mark and Kelly all the very best when they sit in this chair. The programme is in the best of hands. And my final thank you goes to all of you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your love and support over the years. It's been so special, and I'm sorry that your team was always on last. Time to say goodbye. Goodbye.
What a legend, man. And bro, guys, you see Piers Morgan. You see, if Piers Morgan said something and it's madness, you actually know there's something going on here. You get me? And this is what Piers Morgan had to say, because we got to get into all of this so you can see what's actually going on around the world. You get me?
You're waging a systematic destruction, not just of property and of land, but also of children. And that's what's happening. The percentage of children that you're killing compared to the percentage of you're killing of Hamas terrorists, what is it? Do you know? Do you
Piers,
know how many children you've killed? Hang on. Answer me that one question.
He's on
Do
it.
you know how many Hamas terrorists you've killed and how many children you've killed? Do you know there's two numbers?
I know the numbers that came from the IDF. I know the numbers that came from a very, very established
Give me the two numbers.
Wait a second. We killed 30,000. We killed 30,000 terrorists in phase 1 of the war. Since the war is back, I don't have the numbers. But let me tell you one thing. We
and
never
how many children have you killed?
Guys, listen, let me tell you something, yeah? If you're going to speak to Piers Morgan, make sure your numbers are clean. She don't know the numbers, how many children's been killed out of that 30-something thousand that she actually said. The question is, how many children have you killed? We can see these mad videos. What's going on? How many children have you killed? Answer the question.
Target civilians. So this question is irrelevant.
How many children have you killed?
Piers, Israel is not killing children. Israel is not killing children. Hamas is using them as human shields.
Israel is killing children every single day.
Piers, this is a blood label you're putting on Israel. You know it's not true.
No, it's not actually. And what you're trying to do is be very weaselly with your words.
No, I'm not.
The truth is, you are killing a lot of children. You would argue you're doing.
Why it's caused?
Hang on, let me finish.
Hamas is using them as human shields, and you know that.
Let me finish my question to you. You are killing a lot of children on a daily basis. That is indisputable. My interesting question for you is, how come you know exactly how many Hamas terrorists you've killed, but you have no idea how many children you've killed? Because you know how many terrorists you've killed, you say, but you have no idea how many children. Because those are the people we targeted. So how many children have died in the process? Why don't you know that number too?
Piers, please ask this question to the people that can give you the answer. I don't have the answer.
Who has the answer?
Please don't ask me questions.
Who has the answer? Who has the answer?
I don't have the answer. And I will tell you something.
You're the Israeli ambassador to my country. Who else should I ask?
Well, you should ask.
The Israeli ambassador to my country. Who has the answer he's asking? She can't answer it. She actually can't answer it.
Ask one question. How do you make sure that the 7th of October won't be repeated? And this is the question you and everyone who criticizes Israel at the moment doesn't have the answer to. And again,
here's a question.
We are not denying the fact that war is a bad thing, but we never wanted this war.
Why don't you let international journalists into Gaza so they can report fairly and freely without being led around by the IDF?
Someone said, you know, shit is bad when Piers Morgan is on the right side of history.
Let the journalists in because you ban them, and the only reason you continue to ban international journalists from going in there, it's not because of our safety.
Sorry, man. It's not even a laughing matter. I'm actually just being like, yo, like, that is real, innit? Like,
safety, as you also quaintly put it, it's because you don't want the Western journalists to get in there and see what's really happening. Only you know why. Only the Israeli government knows why you want to continue banning journalists from international media organizations coming in at their own risk assessment and actually working out whether anything you're saying is true or not. And it may be if you let the international journalists in, well, let me just finish. It may be if you let them in, then they wouldn't just count the number of terrorists who are being killed. They'd be also able to record how many children are being killed, because it strikes me as utterly extraordinary that you, as the ambassador to my country, are able to say with complete clarity and certainty 30,000 Hamas have been killed, but you seem to have absolutely no idea how many children have died in the process. No idea. Or you have no interest. I don't know which one it is.
Piers, let me go back to your question about the journalist. I think
it's peak. Like, see with Piers Morgan, you got to make sure that you're coming ready for him, because he's going to answer these questions. He's going to answer these questions about, I think where she's kind of a bit like, wow, like, yeah, Piers Morgan was with us. He's not going to be too mad on what's going on. And he's just gone like, bro, what's going on here? It needs to be stopped. Like, if Piers Morgan's saying this is something that we need to look into.
In the end of the day,
let them in.
We are coming to the point where journalists will be allowed to get into Gaza as long as there is no risk for them. And you know
it's got nothing to do with you, the risk to journalists. It's not your problem.
From my point of
You don't
view,
have to. It's not your.
Let me give you some insights as well, my people. Listen, they're actually blocking the aid, the food aid, to come into Gaza. So it's like they're starving, bro. They're dying of starvation. They're killing them, and they're dying of starvation. This is a fact. They're blocking the food aid. Like, there's so many countries trying to send food in. There's so much food ready to go in, but they're blocking the food aid. This is crazy.
Point of view, once there is no risk to their life, I'm sure they'll be allowed to get in.
Flannel, Ambassador. Don't treat us like idiots, please. We're not idiots. You're not doing it for our safety. You've banned the journalists so that they don't report on what is actually happening. Only you know why.
They've banned journalists to come into Gaza. They've banned the journalists. Like, we don't want to show you, look, what's going on. We're going to keep on doing what we're doing, and we're going to control what we're controlling. This is crazy, man.
You're doing that. I don't know. Maybe you're doing everything completely fairly. Maybe it is the most moral war ever waged in history, as you keep saying. But the longer it goes on without you allowing journalists in, the less people believe that, and the more people believe you have something to hide. You're waging
madness. Let's see what he has to say here. Hopefully he's not as long.
He is talking in a genocidal language about kicking all the Palestinians out. I have resisted going as far as you have done in your criticism of the Israeli government. I resist no more. I think we've reached common ground about what we view is happening and has been happening through this period of this blockade, which frankly is just starvation of the people there.
You hear that? Blockade, starvation of the people there.
So many innocent young women and children. And I think that the incessant bombing and killing, and we don't know how many civilians have been killed, but it is on a daily basis. It looks like hundreds of people every day.
Hundreds of people every day being killed. This is madness, bro.
With no apparent attempt, it seems to me, to have any real plan for how this ends or what happens when it ends, other than if you look at what Smodrich has been saying, probably the most right-wing member of a very right-wing government, he is talking in a genocidal language about kicking all the Palestinians out.
Someone said, well, it's only took a few 100,000 people, innocent people, lives, for Piers to open up his eyes. What we've been saying for, this is what has been said for a long time. Do you know what I mean? And it's not too late. At least he sometimes it takes time for people to actually to kind of see like the injustice and what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it takes time for people to see that. I'm just looking for something. I'm looking for this. This is what I'm looking for. Right, UK leader, wrong side of history. Wait.
You're on the wrong side of justice. You're on the wrong side of humanity.
Okay, let's go into this. Right, look, let's go into, I think it's this one.
The second one is that we have a policy of starvation. Did you hear that? You didn't? That's the current fad, the current lie. Well, that's false too. From day one, or the early days of the war, we decided on a policy. We are going after Hamas. We're not going after the civilian population, both in allowing it to leave the theaters of combat, but also by supplying them with essential requirements: food, water, medicine. That's what international law and common sense requires. So we did. So we supplied them with about 1.8 million tons, 1.8 million tons of food and aid. That's an enormous amount. And that's why you didn't have mass starvation at all.
Guys, is this, I don't know. Let me know in the comments, innit? Is what he's saying is true or what he's saying is a lie? Like, or is it misinformation or what?
In fact, I'll give you one simple indication of that. We take thousands of prisoners. We sort them out into civilians and into combatants. And we photograph it. And you can see those photographs, those videos. What's the first thing you do when you take a prisoner in Gaza? The first thing you do is you tell them, take your shirt off. We want to see that there's no suicide vest. Thousands and thousands of prisoners have taken their shirt off. And you don't see one, not one, emaciated. Not a single case. From the beginning of the war till the present. In fact,
there was another speech, but let's go into, look. Remember I said calendar.
You're on the wrong
look.
side of justice. You're on the wrong side of humanity.
Look.
And you're on the wrong side of history. I could never understand how this simple truth evades the leaders of France, Britain, Canada, and others. They're now...
Remember I told you guys that France, Britain and Canada was like, bro, what you're doing, you got a warning. We're giving you a warning. Stop what you're doing. Like, yeah, we're going to have to get involved. Remember I said that to you. Now he's replied back to them.
Proposing to establish a Palestinian state and reward these murderers with the ultimate prize. Well, for 18 years, we had a de facto Palestinian state. It's called Gaza. And what did we get? Peace? No. We got the most savage slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust. They're now proposing to establish a Palestinian state and reward these murderers with the ultimate prize. Well, for 18 years, we had a de facto Palestinian state. It's called Gaza. And what did we get? Peace? No. We got the most savage slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust. I say to President Macron, Prime Minister Carney, and Prime Minister Starmer, when mass murderers, rapists, baby killers, and kidnappers thank you, you're on the wrong side of justice. You're on the wrong side of humanity. And you're on the wrong side of history.
I'm going to leave it like that, guys. Please let me know in the comments what you think of what's going on. Man's just using man's platform to spread awareness. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.